Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Prairie Grown Reviews YouTube channel, where we review books, games, movie, and TV shows. On today's episode, we'll be reviewing the movie Break, originally released in France in 2018, but recently dropped to Netflix just a couple days ago. I think it was just yesterday, actually.
Yep.
For those of you who are familiar with our website, prairiegrownreviews.com, you will know that we have a usual style of reviews where we talk about the summary, talk about some characters, and then we give our thoughts about, what we thought of the piece of work that we just watched or read. To start things off, Austin, would you like to talk about the summary of this movie?
Yeah, for sure. I'll take it away here. So it begins. It's a fairly simple premise, pretty intense. But so we start off with our two main characters right at the very beginning, and they're both dancers. So that's very prominent. And so we get aerial dancing, right? So they're both tethered in. They're dancing on the walls, and then as the synopsis from Netflix suggests, one of the tethers snaps. She falls, ends up in the hospital, and that's sort of where our plot starts to get rolling. We won't go too much further because it gets a little bit intense after that, but that's sort of our setup for the whole movie.
Mhm. For sure. With that, Seb, would you like to cover the characters?
I would. Um, does anyone remember the name of the female main character?
Lucy.
That's what I thought. Okay, good. Good. I was testing you. I was testing you. Okay, so
All right.
Lucy is a dancer, an aerial dancer, as Austin said, and she fell, was in a coma for a bit, woke up, and wants to kind of reinvent herself, explore a little bit of other types of dancing she can explore. She's pretty strong-willed. She's passionate. She is looking for answers as well about her father.
Yep.
And overall, she's quite a good dancer. She's interesting. She's intelligent. She has a passion for learning. She wants to learn more about dancing. And so we get to follow her and her journey to learn how to kind of dance on the ground and also how to just like live life maybe a little differently than before. Our second protagonist is Vincent. Is he's an ex-con. He he's also a dancer, but he doesn't dance anymore after an incident with a friend. Um, and he works he works for someone who we find out later is quite significant. And he is also a very good dancer, and he starts to train and help Lucy as she learns to dance on the ground, and he slowly begins to become attached to her throughout. So those are basically our two protagonists, and yeah.
All right, sounds good. So I guess the next thing we'll be focusing on now is just what we thought about the movie in general. So Austin, what do you think about the movie?
I do have one question for myself and our viewers out there, and I would also like to admit something. First things first, thank you, Sebastian, for asking that question. I also had no idea. I really appreciate that. Question number two, just so everybody is very clear on this, are we like spoilers or am I keeping it separate? Because I don't want to spoil the movie if anybody's hasn't seen it yet.
I think we should jump into spoilers personally,
Okay, so
I think we should jump into spoilers, yeah.
because we'll have our written review for the non-spoiler part.
perfect. So with that being said, if you want to check out the non-spoiler part, go to our website. Everybody's got their own opinion there. You can check that out. You can also check out a little bit more in-depth summary and characters. That's a lot better written than what was just done, but we're going to move on. So personally, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it had a lot of really good ups and downs. It swung all over the place emotionally, which I thought was fantastic. There's a couple really good comedic relief moments as well. I thought our characters are really well written and really strong in that sort of sense. They bounce off of each other very well, and our character development is really it's hinged on between Lucy and Vincent. They sort of grow together, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure. All right, Seb, what did you think?
Oh, so well, quick disclaimer for those of you who also don't know, this movie, as Nat mentioned, is French. So the movie, for the most part, is dubbed. I happen to have learned French, so I watched the film in French. And I thought it was also quite enjoyable overall. I thought characters were quite interesting and had some different backstories, and they played well off each other. They had good chemistry. Vincent and Lucy had very good chemistry together. I thought that the story was compelling and it had some interesting moments and some reveals, and it didn't exactly do things the way I expected sometimes, which I enjoyed. The dancing, best part of the movie. They had some phenomenal dancing throughout, some great scenes. Actually, my favorite scene in the movie is they do this like dance battle in
Yep.
like this
Mhm.
underground cave thing. Best scene in the movie in my opinion. Just
Yep.
loved the way we saw these different dance styles, these different dancers, the way they teamed up and did moves together. It
Yep.
was just awesome in my opinion. I thought the performances were quite good and it had some good emotional moments. Overall, I did enjoy it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you two but I still think it was a good, well-made movie. So, Nat, I guess.
Yes,
Yep.
I guess. Well, like, right from the beginning of the movie, when you see the aerial dancing, you know from the start the choreography is just on point. All the dancing scenes will be like top notch.
Yep.
Um, it was a really like a good emotional scene. It set like the basis for everything. I like how our characters are like pretty relatable on some point. Both of them are trying to get their lives back on track, and I think most people can relate to that. You know, when you get hit by something unexpected and something just really sad hits you guys, you know, you want to bounce back, you gotta find your way, and sometimes it's a hard thing to do. I'm also really liked how the dancing really reflects how the characters are growing. So when you go into the movie and Lucy's learning how to like break dance for the first time ever, it looks like an absolute mess. It is not good. She's like flinging her head back and forth. I don't know. It looked really bad. And then near the end of the movie, you can tell that she's like improved. She's learned, and every move that she has, like it's all like super passionate. It like all makes sense. It all like melts together. So I found that like really nice. So yeah, I guess we can go over some like quick things,
Yeah.
some major details you guys really enjoyed about the movie, like that's not related to dancing. Like I don't know.
Sure.
Let's
I'll
talk about yeah something.
I'll
Anything.
start with something. Here was my so I read the synopsis before I watched this movie, and actually I'm gonna make 2 points here. First one is I thought she was gonna be like in a wheelchair or injured in some sense because she fell from quite a big distance, and like
Yeah,
yeah she was in the
literally.
coma, but like her dancing doesn't seem to be affected physically whatsoever, which sort of it threw me off from the like right at the beginning. I sort of expected some like sort of rehab, like her dancing is off because of that, right? So we sort of skipped over that part in my mind. So which I didn't mind. I didn't It gave me a couple question marks, but other than that,
Hmm.
I didn't bother me too much. Just a little bit confusing right
Hmm.
off the hop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I guess big spoiler thing here is so as at the beginning we find out she doesn't know her dad. Like she's never met her biological father. She goes to stay at this, I don't know what
Monte Carlo.
exactly it was, Monte
It's a hotel, I
Carlo.
think.
It was like a hotel on like a bar, and then there was a hotel on top, and um it her dad, he works there, he runs it, I'm pretty sure, and so she actually gets to meet him. And the thing I really like, this I said this kind of in my thoughts about the movie before we went into spoilers exactly, but I the thing I was kind of wondering if they were going to do is hold the father thing till the end. She doesn't talk to him till the end. No, it happens in the middle, and that's
Yep.
what I preferred. I didn't want the well. We just read a book recently that you
Yep.
can check out on our website called Paradise Peak, and that did the. It was a good book overall. I quite enjoyed that book, same as I enjoyed this movie. But the thing it did that was a knock against it is it held the reveal till the very end, and I wanted them to do it earlier. This movie does what I wanted Paradise Peak to do. It gave the reveal. She met her father, and she actually got to develop with him. It wasn't like something like, oh, they'll develop after the events of the movie. No, she got to kind of connect with him a bit, got to talk to him. Like that's what I wanted, and they did it. And so I thought, other than the dancing, I really liked that part. I also thought the romance was quite well done. It was well developed. It wasn't rushed into. It felt natural enough. Like it felt like you could see how these two would connect. like
Yep.
how they would start getting to know each other and how
Yep.
they'd find these things that make them interested in one another. So
Yep.
it was there was actually a payoff when they finally got together instead of, there's some movies that rush the romance and then you don't care.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the way they dropped Julian though. I don't know. It's just kind of, ooh, I felt bad for him.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was sort
Yeah.
of sudden, but you could feel it. You could feel it coming.
Yes.
Oh, it was definitely coming. But
You
like,
didn't want to dance on the ground.
No,
You
you
wanted
knew.
to keep doing the aerial stuff.
Yeah, you knew that was never going to end well when she wasn't comfortable and he was pushing for it, which is totally understandable. I'm pretty sure if I fell from
exactly.
that high, I would never let my feet leave the ground again. Like that'd be
Yeah,
PTSD through the roof.
Yes.
So
exactly.
But unlike you, she eventually does get over that and does this twirly thing on these, like, don't exactly, they're like, you've seen them in dance stuff before. They're like fabric that they like spin themselves in and then spin themselves out, and they do really cool stuff on. Like Cirque du Soleil uses them, big dance groups use them all the time. It was quite cool. Her final dance that she does to get into this dance company or troupe, or
yep,
it was the dance she did was quite good.
yep, absolutely. And I would just like to say that is the official term from the Entertainment
Very
Media
good reviews.
website. That is the official term that we are using for that type of dancing.
The fabric thingy.
Yep, the fabric thingy. That's what we're going
Nice.
with.
There we go.
The other point I was going to make is from my experience with French as well, as we're all pretty in depth with the language. I watched this one in English, so we'd have sort of a spread point of view. I thought the dub was really good, but I felt that it was a little bit choppy because the French language sort of flows and it like it's poetry. It works really well, and it's very nice on the ears as a language as a whole. And so English kind of fails to capture that. So we did have a couple moments where it was choppy, but I wouldn't necessarily fault that on the directors, on the writers of the original movie, or even the English dub. You just can't really put those two things together side by side, right? It's really tough. And the other point I'd like to make is whoever is writing the subtitles for Netflix, give me a phone call, please.
Oh yes, please.
Please let me help you, because there's like, if somebody actually watched that movie through with the dub, with the subtitles, and went, yeah, that works for me, we need to have a discussion, because that's the second dub movie that we've watched in a very short amount of time that were good movies. The dub was actually pretty good, but the subtitles were useless, right? It steals it steals a little bit from the movie, especially if sometimes the dub is a little bit more difficult to understand at times, right? You kind of hang on those subtitles, right? So there's my rant piece about the subtitles.
Exactly. Like I watched it in French and I had the English subtitles, and there were a few points where you look at it and you're like, okay, they're mentioning Britain and they're calling it Brittany. Okay, it takes like all of the seriousness and all the atmosphere that like the movie's trying to set up and just throws out the window because
Yep.
you can't take it seriously anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with
Not
that.
much we can really do about that because that's like
Austin,
they
I
write
actually
the
have
subtitles.
I have a question related to the dub.
Yep.
Was the emotions there?
Yes.
Like sometimes with dubbing, because they're in a recording booth, they're not actually doing the scenes themselves. They're just reading a script.
Yep.
Sometimes the dub doesn't always translate through for the emotional impact. So I was just wondering if it did or not.
Yes, I was going to mention that they do a really good job of that. Actually, I was super impressed because what was the Life Ahead? No, what's the movie? What was the
Life
movie?
ahead? Yes,
I think it
yes.
was Life
So
Ahead, yeah.
that one we sort of lost the emotion on, right? This one, they still did a fantastic job of keeping the high tension moments and all the like the emotions in the different scenes, like the one where he's just losing his marbles that was still just as emotional. The subtitles were wrong, but the voice, perfect. Did a great job with the dub. I was really impressed.
Oh yes, I have another question about the dub. So near the end when what's his name? I forget his name, but the friend gives Vincent that song. Did they translate that song or did they leave it
On the
French?
bridge?
Like did they? Yeah, on the bridge.
Yeah, like he's listening. It's a song about him.
Français?
That his friend.
Français,
Yeah,
monsieur.
France.
They kept that one in French
good
actually,
to know.
with
Okay, that's a good
English
thing.
subtitles at the bottom that worked. So that was my funny moment. Is like those were the only subtitles in the whole movie that were right.
Yeah.
It was like,
I was listening to the song. You can't translate that into English. Like
No.
the rhythm's not there, right?
no.
The
The
flow
rhymes
wouldn't
aren't
work.
there.
Actually, I actually had a question for you guys about the French dub. There was a moment in the actual, the original studio they go to, where they're like, if you can't come here if nobody's here to recommend you, right?
Yes. Yes.
There's a song that's playing. It's not right at the beginning. It's a little bit later on. Is that in French? If you guys
Oh,
can
I
There
tell
was a
me.
don't.
song in English. There was
Okay,
definitely
Yes.
okay.
one
There's some
song in
songs in
English.
English.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna wonder is if they translated that back. So I guess they did not. That's kind of
No.
cool.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you think like France, there are English influences. They like
Mhm.
even in that scene I talked about, the one I loved, where they're doing like the dance battle.
Yep.
They say certain phrases in English that are synonymous with dancing and this type of
Mhm.
underground dance club type thing.
Yep.
So, like, yeah, like the DJ, he'd say certain phrases that kind of fit with that. So it was quite interesting
That's kind of
to
cool.
yeah.
Sweet.
So guys, any more thoughts? Anything else you want to say?
The only thing I would mention is the last thing. Save the finale for the final. I thought the ending. We haven't mentioned this yet. I thought
Oh,
the
yes, we haven't
ending
mentioned
was
it.
like it was. I've never been a
Abrupt.
I've never been a huge fan of abrupt endings, but I think this one gets a pass for me.
Oh,
I think so too.
Exactly. Right. It's like
Like it
it's
was.
timed at such a point that it's like, okay, like it's abrupt, but it doesn't leave too much wide open. There's not a whole lot of
Yeah.
questions, right? Honestly, I thought there's 15 minutes left in the movie to be
Oh yeah, me too.
same.
I know.
frank, but like I didn't hate it. I felt like I was missed. Like I could have watched another 15 minutes of that movie, but I didn't feel like there was a whole bunch of like big theoretical questions that were left unanswered or into the unknown. It wasn't really one of those like solve yourself movies like you think up the ending type of thing. No, it was
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was pretty to the point, which I thought was well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to say, yeah, like I'd have to agree for the most part. Like the story is wrapped up. Like, yeah, you could go further, you could give a bigger slash better resolution, but I was definitely shocked it ended there. Like you said, I thought there was like 10, 15 minutes left.
Yep.
I definitely thought we'd get to see a little bit of the aftermath of did she get it or not? Like it looks like based on the dance, she'll get it. Like it was a pretty good dance.
Yep.
But they do leave a little to be like they leave a little bit to the imagination, which is not exactly a bad thing.
Yep.
Like they wrap up the story enough, but they also give viewers like, oh, you can fill in what you think will happen next in a
Yep.
way that isn't exactly cheap. Like that's not exactly how I would have written that ending if I was writing scripts, but that's it was not the worst ending and not the worst use of the abrupt ending I've seen. Though I did have one question, well slash comment
Yep.
about that was left remaining was like, okay, she resolves everything other than with everyone except Julian, and we never really see her resolve it with her mom either.
Oh no, they
there's that
dropped
scene
that.
where she sits with her mom, but they just like, and I mean, she sits with her stepdad all and like hugs him, but like, does she ever forgive her mom for lying? Like, I don't know. Like, and I was legit curious. That was one of the plot threads that I
Yep.
wanted to see finish up. That's probably one of my only criticisms, one of my bigger ones. Like, is just I want to know what happened there. Like, I get that they leave it up to interpretation, but like, whether or not she forgives her mom is not exactly what I'm hung up on. It's the fact that we don't know which one she goes on.
Yep.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
care if she hates her mom because that's justified. I don't care if she forgives her mom because that's justified. She's an adult, so she makes her choices. But I just like to know what choice she made.
Yeah.
That's one where I wish they had shown us instead of leaving it up to the imagination.
Yep. That's one I missed. So I'd have to agree with you there. That is like one of the only things that they truly leave like wide open, right? For total interpretation. There's no real thought of, okay, maybe she went this way, maybe she went that way, right? It's sort of wide open, which is what you were saying. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, I think that's everything, right?
I
Covered
think
everything,
we've
I think.
covered it all pretty much.
Yep.
All right.
Good
Sounds
to go.
good. Well, in that case, thanks for watching, and please like this video and let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. We will do more of these movie video reviews later in the future, so please subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of when we drop our next video. And from everyone at the Prairie Grove Reviews team, we'll see you guys later.